and welcome to another video. My name is JD, and again, I've taken over from David DeFord today. And today I'm speaking with my good friend, Wendy Whitson. Am I saying that right?
You are, thanks.
Fantastic. So Wendy is with our agency. She's a telesales agent. She's been using this new Alpha Lead program. And so what we're going to do is we're going to dive in today, get some details about Wendy's experience, see how things have been going for her, and get some more information about this Alpha Lead program from an agent that's been doing it and running business with those leads. So to get us started, Wendy, would you please tell our audience, how did you get into this insurance thing and where did you come from? What were you doing before?
I worked in the medical field for a long time, and I ended up wanting to come home when COVID hit, and I wanted to find a job that I could do for the rest of my life. If any physical things happened to me, I just hear people getting older, unable to get up, move around, do stuff. And I wanted to keep my mind strong, and this is just being real. So I thought, this would be a good job for me. But the most important thing is the patients that I would see. I worked in the cancer center, and the patients that I saw that didn't have life insurance, what impact it was on the families, was huge for me.
So you had firsthand experience.
Oh gosh, yeah. And so, I saw what they had. They were selling private property, personal items that they treasured. The GoFundMe, church barbecues, stuff like that. And this is still. Now that I'm home, I stay home and take care of my father-in-law. He's 87. And this is how I still give back. I'm still connected to people, and I can, relate to them through, a lot of times, we're talking to the elderly and they have ailments, and I'm able to, still feel like I can comfort yet help them with final expense.
Excellent. So how long were you in the healthcare field? And more specifically, can you share what were you doing?
Oh, gosh, I've been in the healthcare field for 30 years. I started out in OB, and then I went into cardiology, and then oncology. So I was always in a specialty office as a medical assistant. So hands-on with patients, asking questions, giving shots, doing hands-on with them, and having to ask their history, which I feel is it really helps out now. Like going through the medical questions, I can
it doesn't hurt.
No, a little bit. I do a little bit more.
Having a little bit of understanding of medications and different type of medical conditions doesn't hurt, right?
Absolutely.
Got it. Yeah, and my wife is in healthcare also, so that's cool. I'm actually a fireman, so I'm peripherally involved in healthcare, emergency medical care. And I feel like that's been a bit of an advantage because I'm used to going in people's houses and looking for their medicines, right? Because we need to figure out what drugs and conditions and things that they have. So I feel like that's an advantage. The reason why I was asking you, Wendy, is because there's folks in here that are watching this video right now that they're in healthcare or whatever other field that is not insurance and it's not sales, and they're asking themselves, like, can I really do that? Like, would that be a good fit for me? What would you say to those people?
I would say absolutely yes, especially if you've had contact with the public and you're able to, relate to them with all the different situations that occur. Absolutely. It takes a little bit of time to get going. And I wish I would have found David DeFord Group from the beginning because, I had to go through a few trials and errors for sure before I found a company that actually cares about their agents, and the people that David associates with, his team that works with us are just hands down wonderful.
Got it. And so you're saying that for people that don't have an insurance background or a background in sales, even that's not a requirement. What's more important is to have a little bit of people skills, or at the very least, just make sure you care for these folks, right? Would you say that that's the requirement?
Yeah. And there's times when, I might be having a bad day, and I'm able to turn that off and turn on the compassion and know it's just for this time that I need to talk to these people. So that's a little bit of a challenge sometimes if you're having a hard day, but that's work, like even at my other jobs, if I was having a bad day, now I'm face to face with people, and I still you just had to shut that off. I mean, you don't bring that into a patient's room by no stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just feel like this is just a great, it was a new avenue, a new opportunity for me. I never in a million years thought I would be here. I started looking at Dave's YouTube videos and stuff over a year ago, and
Yeah.
him and I talked. It's probably been about 9 months now. And I told him where I was at and what my goals were. And he said, stay where you are for 6 months. And I love that. He wasn't like, come here, come into my group. You know what I mean? He just let me
100%.
be, let me, go through what I had to go through. And I just feel like it was an absolute blessing.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, because that's actually, I'm part of the onboarding team. So I help new agents that are interested in joining the agency kind of answer some questions and go through that process. Right. And one of the phrases that I bring up quite often is actually a phrase that I want to say I got from either Gary Vaynerchuk, maybe. And the phrase that he said, or maybe it was Dave Ramsey, regardless, the phrase that's always stuck in my mind is, we're looking for a marriage, right? Our goal is not to have a one-night stand. We don't want to get agents in here before they're really ready to get in here. Like they don't have all the resources and means to give it their best at bat, to give it their best opportunity to be successful. Because a lot of people, they typically only have one shot. And that could be either be financially, budget-wise, right? We don't have an endless supply of money. Most of us don't have a money tree in the backyard where we can just, go at any and every business and try a new one next week if this one doesn't work out. And two, like just your mental capacity, right? And giving this a shot, or maybe you've got a spouse that has seen you try multiple different businesses and things of that nature. And once you give that one thing a shot, they may not be willing for you to go back into it if you're not successful. So for a number of reasons, David and our agency has always felt that if we feel like you're not ready to start or another time might be better for you, well, we like to be transparent and help recommend that to people. And again, because we're not looking for the one night stand, it's not advantageous for us to get an agent in here that's in here for a couple weeks or a couple months and then they're gone. We want to make sure that you're in a situation where you can, when you join the agency, you're locked in for life and that you have the best opportunity to be successful long term. So thank you for sharing that, Winnie. The other thing I was going to ask you, and you kind of touched on it there a little bit, when you're out there shopping for insurance agencies and when you decided maybe you want to do final expense, there's definitely other options available to you. What was it specifically about David or David's message or the DeFord Insurance Group, why you chose to go with the agency specifically?
I'm just going to be so truthful. The honesty that I felt, the sincerity, everything he said has always come through. And I've watched other videos and I've watched other people and they always just seem like a fly by night. He has been just, I can talk to him personally still to this day. It's not like he's too big to talk to me if I have an issue. I don't really have any issues, but I mean, like if there's, still onboarding questions or what have you, he's available, which is huge. I love my mentor, Tim. He's absolutely wonderful as well. And again, the people that David has recommended or has on his group, I have not had one problem, not with anybody. Everybody has been gracious, forthgiving of their time, their resources. All the agents that I work with too are amazing. Everybody's here for each other. It's not a, what I know David likes to call it a Kool-Aid company. There's none of that here. I mean, this is real. It's not the baloney, blowing smoke up and making it look like something better. And when he tells you need money and you have to work and this is work, it is.
Yeah,
it is. And the nice part about it is though, having the mentor, like even this morning, our morning meeting, he brings forth stuff like, I've been doing very good in the company and my sales have been up, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, well, I guess I could just slack off a little bit because I'm doing good. Well, that's just, I didn't realize it. And then, Tim was able to pull that out this morning and say, he's sharing stuff that had taken him years to figure out that he's just handing us now. And it's super. It's just super.
Excellent. So you would say that you enjoy the culture that we've created here then?
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
Fantastic.
happy, peaceful, positive, growing. I mean, it's wholehearted. It really is wonderful.
Okay, gotcha. So for the folks that aren't familiar, here at the beginning of the year, we completely revamped the way that we do business. So prior to this year, the way things worked around here was you would get onboarded into the program, and essentially almost everybody that applied got in. To be frank, we were just trying to grab anybody that was willing to jump in, because you never know which person's going to be successful. But once you got in, essentially you're given access to all these resources and books and guides and videos, that it was all self-study. And then maybe once a week, David would jump in and do like a live Q&A where you get opportunities to ask him questions. And that's kind of how it went for the first, before this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the beginning of this year, we started a new coaching program, like a mentorship program, where every new agent that comes into the agency is assigned a coach. And now these coaches have been specifically chosen by David himself. And they have these two qualifications. Number one, they've been out in the field or on the phone and have an experience writing business. They have a track record of writing business under their own pen, right? Some of our agents have even, like David, failed out and came back, and they bring that additional experience of what they did wrong and what they did to improve when they came back. Like we've got that level of experience. But the second thing, which may be even more important, is the fact that the trainers, the coaches that we have on staff, have a track record of producing agents underneath themselves that can also sell. Because I got to tell you, having the skill set to be a professional and to be a salesperson, to be good in the business, is a specific skill set. Just the same as an athlete, right? Whether you're a football player, a baseball player,
Mm-hmm.
being great on the field is a skill set. Not everyone can transition to the role of being a coach, right? Just because you're good on the field doesn't mean you could train other people to do the same thing. And so again, the coaches that we have in our program, they've been out there, they've done it themselves. And more importantly, in addition to that, they've had the ability and track record of training other agents to be successful and taking the steps that they've done themselves. So, if you would, Wendy, can you give us a little bit more of the specifics? Because people coming into the program want to know, what does this mentorship look like? How often am I meeting with my coach? What does the training entail? Can you give us a little bit of that process?
I sure can. My experience has been absolutely wonderful. We came in, and Tim is my mentor, coach, and he pretty much held our hand. I don't want to say held our hand, but definitely guided us, because this isn't, you're your own agent. You have to be able to be disciplined and do the work. Okay. But he was there to guide us every step of the way. And it was so fun, because when we started, it's like, oh yeah, we know about insurance. I've sold insurance for a year. Yeah. Uh-huh. He had opened a whole new window as far as he would be teaching us just when he's talking to us, the way he would talk to us, and you just would pick up on it. And he would guide us. Go here. I want you to learn this. I want you to do this. This is what we need to do. You have to study the script. If you don't, you come back, I'm going to know it. And he knew. I mean, he's been doing it long enough where he can just look and see. And then now, after that was like the first month, we would meet every day, and they would listen to our calls, and we would get critiqued, and just wonderful hands-on training. And now we still meet every day, but we don't meet for a whole hour. We have a 15-minute in the morning. He got our meetings earlier, so we're up earlier doing more, being able to start, Eastern time at 9 o'clock. I live in Central, so Eastern, so I could start at 8 o'clock in the morning working. And now we can just there's always still so much to learn. You never stop learning. And he just has this ability to just uplift you. Even if something's going wrong or you're not getting the production, there's no, you're not doing this right, or you need to do more, or there is none of that. And that's the stuff that I personally have had issues with my whole life, and that does not work for me. That just puts me in a ugh. So he's uplifting, learning, teaching. Well, this is how this could be done, and he just hand feeds us this information. If you're open and willing to learn, there is so much here to learn. It's not even funny. I mean, there is just it's endless information. He's been doing it for 17 years and has been very successful. And he helps us. If I have a question, I can text him anytime. He reached out and called me even yesterday. Hey, how's it going? And I'm like, it's going good. Am I in trouble? What happened? He just started laughing. He goes, no, I'm not the one that would get you in trouble. So personalities, dynamic. David, he's done a wonderful job putting together this team. his team, his business. I'm just,
Yeah.
I mean, it's really wonderful.
Good. And one of the things that was mentioned to me from another telesales agent there in Tim's group is that you guys are kind of broken down into smaller groups, right? Of groups of like 3 to 5 agents. Can you speak specifically to that?
Yes, I love that because it's our own little team. So we're the 1K, I forget what we're called. Anyway, so we make 1,000 calls a week. Okay. And we're just, it's a 1K 10% group. So we're really working to sell 10%, which doesn't sound like much, but it's huge. And it is, I'm on my second week on target, and I'm just, it feels so wonderful. And I never could have done it without our team. Because everybody, it's personalized. Everybody can ask different questions, and you learn from everybody's question. I mean, there's so much to it. And being in that small group, we have more personalized time. Like he knows us individually.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say that I've kind of had a similar experience. Like, so in face-to-face, we also have a morning group call, right? And the thing that I like about that, and the thing that I even like about we're now doing group Q&A calls for new folks that are interested in joining the agency. Go ahead and go to davidford.com/apply. And but we're doing these group Q&As, and what's cool about it is that, and what are the advantages that I've told people, like selfishly, I like it because I'm not answering the same question 12 times a day. But what's more important that I found to be an advantage is that people, and they've said this themselves, is that being in the room where there's people asking questions, they're going to ask questions that you didn't know that you wanted to ask. And so you're getting more information and getting more value than you would have done in a one-on-one basis. And so I feel like that's kind of been the same for me as far as my training goes, because there's times where folks will bring up certain situations about they had a death claim, or they had a person with this condition or this age or whatever the case may be. And I'm learning from, not just my own experience out in the field, but the stuff they're running into, and they're asking those questions. So I feel like that's been huge as well. And then what I'll even add on top of that, a little bit of an ego bump, I would say, is like when you get those brand new agents in here and they're kind of asking some of those new agent questions, and then instead of just your coach or trainer having to answer all those questions, you get other agents answering the question, or get multiple perspectives. And if you're the person answering the question, it just kind of gives you a little bit more buy-in, right? You feel like, hey, I'm contributing something positive to another agent. And so if you kind of have that personality, which I do, like where you like to train and help other people be successful as well, like you get a little taste of that or piece of that and being in those group settings. So yeah, I would agree with you. That's been one of the most enjoyable parts, is being in that group setting.
Yeah. And everything is, we have I don't know what you'd call it, our school kind of that we go to, our website, and that is set up amazing. So our team, we're the Titans, and Tim just sets everything up for us. Any type of training that has already been gone on, other videos, because you forget stuff. It's so nice to be able just to go right back to it, click on it, listen to it, get revamped. There's motivational stuff, and motivation. It's not like, okay, work harder, blah, blah, blah. It's motivation. It's like, Dave himself talking to us on what it is, and what's our why, what's our goal, what are we working for here, and how to do it. It's just
absolutely.
Yeah.
So my next question for you, Wendy, is there's been a big increase or influx on people coming into the industry for wanting to sell final expense and wanting to sell final expense on the telesales side, right? It's like the new hot, sexy thing. You got a lot of agents on YouTube nowadays that's all they propose. And there's a number of reasons why I feel like there's advantages for telesales, and there's obviously advantages of going face-to-face, but there could be a lot of people out there that kind of get the impression that it's easy, or they might get the impression of, I'm going to be sitting on a beach and making calls 2 hours a day, like that kind of a thing. Can you hit the reality button here for those people that are thinking that telesales is the easy train, or the gravy train? Can you set some realistic expectations of what it takes to be a successful telesales agent?
Yeah, for sure. You don't sit on the beach and do it. I've seen a lot of those commercials in the beginning, and I thought, oh, wouldn't that be cool? You can't see your computer when you're out in the sun, first of all. I've even tried to sit out on my desk.
You better sit under an umbrella, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't do this. Yeah, I tried. It doesn't work. So anyways, no, it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And it's gratifying work because you're helping people. But you really have to, I have to put it in the forefront of my mind. If I'm going to the, hospital every day to work, I didn't get to do the laundry. I didn't get to clip my dog's nails. I didn't get to, you know, dust and do all this stuff that I know that's there. So I'm home, you know, and it took me a little while. I mean, to really like let it go and to have my family understand when my door is shut. You know, if they come in very gingerly and walk right by, and they know I'm working, like this is my place, and they've learned to respect that. I even have 3 dogs here with me that respect that. When I'm on the phone, they know I'm talking. These guys have just been fabulous. They don't, they're my little buddies, but they don't, you know, they know I'm working. I don't know how they get it, but, and it is, some days it's a grind. I do have to say, I was just going to jump into talking about alpha leads, the leads. Is that okay?
Let's circle back to that. I kind of want to drive on this point right here, like the difficulties of being a telesales agent. I kind of want to drive that home to people that kind of think again that this is just the easy way, the easy ticket, right?
Yep. So I'm going to tell you my struggles. My struggles have been, I can be standing here behind my computer for 8 hours a day, but what it really takes is that talk time. It's not the, you know, I'm looking at Google, I'm doing this, I'm talking on the phone to my kids, there's text messages, all that has to shut off. It's the talk time, it's how many dials. So now in my CRM, I'm really tracking, I track how many actual calls I make a day. And my goal is always over 200 a day. And I like to make 2 sales a day. It's hard to do that. It's really hard. People just are like, oh, so you're just going to make some calls? No, because you have to be mentally prepared to talk with each individual person. You don't know how they're coming across. You have to stay mentally strong. So I can't be tired. I can't be hungry, thirsty. I have, you know, like water here, but I have to really take good care of myself to be able to withstand what it takes. I don't even sit down at work. I stand because I need to be on all day.
Yeah.
All day.
What would you say, and maybe you've already mentioned it, but what would you say is the hardest part of being a telesales agent?
The hardest part was going through the feeling of if you weren't successful in the beginning, that struggle, you know, the learning curve, I guess is what it is, you know, a learning curve, and knowing that you're spending money and you're like, oh my gosh, is this for me? And just trusting that the process, it does take some time. And really being self-disciplined is the self-discipline. I didn't know I had it, and I do, and I'm very grateful. And that, again, I'm going to attribute to our coach that reminds us, you know, you guys can make it or break it right here. What do you got? What do you got? I mean, he's straight up.
Yeah, yeah. The ability to stay away from Facebook and email and YouTube and all
and
the other
shopping. Oh, you could do all that. No, I have all my
Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
You got to lock those
websites
out during business hours or something. So the other thing I wanted to ask you, Wendy, was you were saying that your goal is 200 dials a day, right? You're working 5 days a week, typically, I would assume, or depending upon your schedule.
Yeah, most less 5 to 6. I mean, depending if I had a couple different sales, you know, during the week and I don't have my calls up, or if I'm not doing anything on Saturday, I love to work. I mean, my office is right here. I can just come in, my family's doing their thing, and I'm like, why not work? You know, I'm talking with other people and engaging, and I really like it. So,
yeah. So what I'd like to do is we're eventually going to lead this into our new Alpha Lead program, because one of the biggest questions people have about doing telesales or doing follow expense in general, really, is where do the leads come from? How do they come in? What do they cost? All those things. Before we jump into that, I'm kind of teasing it out a little bit. Before we jump into that, Wendy, tell us what those $200 a day that you aim for, 1 or 2 sales, right? Tell us what a typical day in the life, what does your schedule typically look like? What could somebody expect if they're getting into telesales?
Okay. So I get up at 7. Well, I get up at 6. I meet with Tim at 7, and we go over if anybody had any issues. You know, we post what we did yesterday, so we always are staying accountable for what our work ethic was that day. And then I am working. In the morning, I try to, if I have to clear up anything with the insurance companies, talk to underwriting, I try to get that done like that first hour if I can. And then I just jump right into calls. And so I'm on the phone dialing numbers and connecting with people immediately in the morning, you know, and I'll take a break in the morning. I let the dogs out, grab another cup of coffee, come back in, and I'm back to work. back to work. And it's dialing leads. It's dialing leads. It's calling people. Oh, there's, setting up now with that new federal government phone stuff that, you got to take time to set up your phone numbers. So there's a lot of preparation, getting set up with all the life insurance companies, making sure, your license is up, your AML, your education. There's a lot to it.
Okay, got it. And then as far as like what your workday looks like when you're making those 200 dials,
Okay.
How often or how many people are you expecting to get on the phone? And then of the people that you get on the phone, how often would you say you're converting those to a sale? Kind of give us some idea what that looks like.
Okay. So I would say like about every 50 to 100 dials, I'm making a sale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My conversion rate is pretty good. My pickup rate has been much better now that I've gotten my phone numbers, cleaned up that are proper. I get a lot of them to price. I can get a lot of people to price. And so I just, I almost guarantee every 100 dials I have a sale. It's becoming every 50 dials I'm getting a sale. 2 days ago, I got 4 sales in a day. It's just the more I work, the more it's evolving.
Wow, that's excellent. And what do you feel like has been a game changer? What do you feel like helps get people over the hump? Because as a face-to-face agent, I know enough to be dangerous about telesales. And one of the things that I'm aware of is like one of the challenges in telesales is building up the trust and the rapport with the person over the phone so that they feel comfortable. As a, really as any final expense agent, the hardest part is like getting the why. Like, why did you fill this out and going through that process? That's kind of the basic stuff. But what becomes more of a challenge for telesales people is once you get them to the social security number question and once you get them to the bank information, like those seems to be two of the roadblocks, if you would be, for telesales. So can you maybe tell us about what are you doing to make that easier to overcome? Or if you do run into a challenge in those areas, what specific things have you guys found that helps with those situations?
Yeah, well, I follow my script really close, and I use some different, techniques that I've learned that other people are comfortable with. But first of all, it's from the, hi, this is Wendy. How are you? No, I don't say how are you, but it's the first, like, I feel like 10 seconds that you're on the phone with them is going to make it or break it. And then, it's building that rapport and that trust.
Yeah. And are you doing things like sending them your business card or a copy of your license? Is that a thing that you guys recommend doing?
Yeah, I do that, but not until like the middle of the call.
Wow.
Or like after my sale. I don't do that right away. I let them know that I am a licensed life insurance agent in their state, and I verify I'm speaking to the proper person by their zip code, to give them that. But before I get off the phone, I make sure they have my name, my license number, and I let them know we're on a recorded line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Perfect.
Yeah.
So to wrap those things up and moving on, the thing that everybody's here for, the questions that they want to get answered is this lead program. And again, I know enough to be dangerous. And so I'm going to kind of talk through what I know of it. And then I'm going to let Wendy correct me if what I'm saying is correct or not. And then get more specific as far as what her experience has been with our new Alpha Lead program. So in case you didn't know, we now offer a new Alpha Lead program, what we call here at DeFord Insurance Group. So the first thing I want to mention is, number one, we're not in the lead business. We don't sell leads and we don't make money off of leads. We simply made a small override whenever you make a sale. So that way we only make money when the agent makes money. And so that means that we have a vested interest in making sure that our agents are successful, right? Because if you're not out there writing business, we're not making any money either. So again, just to cover that first, we don't sell leads. There's other agencies that do, and I won't get into that conversation. But this program, this Alpha Lead program that we have is different than what these other agencies are doing. The other agencies will essentially buy a list of names for pennies on the dollar, sometimes literally pennies, like 5 or 10 cents a piece, and then sell them to 10 or 20 agents at $10 or $20 a piece, right? So you can imagine the profit center that becomes for them. That's not what we're doing here. That's what I want to make sure that you guys all understand. The difference is what we're doing is our agents in our telesales program, and possibly in face-to-face in the future, we're kind of beta testing that at the moment. But essentially the way it works is this: we've got an in-house expert that, number one, is an experienced insurance person, and number two is an experienced marketer, right? It has both of those kind of things, because it's one thing just to be a marketer and be a Facebook guru, and there's a one thing to be an insurance salesperson and trying to figure out Facebook as you go along. This person that we're using is in-house. One of our agents has both of those things. They've got marketing experience and insurance experience, so they know how to speak to our clients in final expense because they're a final expense agent. So what makes it different is this. And so the way the program works is every person that decides to sign up with this program spends $500 a month as a management fee. And then in addition to that, you're going to commit to a budget. I want to say it's, and I'll let Wendy correct me here when I'm done, I think it's a minimum of $500 to about $1,000 a week, with the sweet spot I've heard is about $750 to $1,000. And essentially the way that it works is that lead spend is going directly into your campaign, and that budget is going to be generating your leads. Now, with any Facebook program, as you probably know, it takes some time for the Facebook algorithm, like the Facebook brain, to learn on who to show the ad to in order to drive down your average cost per lead. So if you're out in the field and you're buying leads yourself from a third-party vendor for telesales, and again, I'm not a telesales guy, what I understand is typically around $10 to $20, like 15 to 17 is kind of an average cost per lead. What we've been able to do with this Alpha Lead program is get that cost per lead down below $10, and in some cases even below $5 a lead. There's agents that are in $4, but just keep in mind, hold on, let me I'm gonna tap on you. Keep in mind that it takes time for Facebook to get to that point. So when you start the program, you may be generating leads at like $20 or $30 a piece, but over time it goes down over the next 3 to 4 weeks. And usually within 30 days, we're getting you into that target budget range. Wendy, you wanted to speak on that?
Yeah, you said it absolutely perfect. The part that, you know, even though it takes a little bit of time to get your leads going, that actually gave me the opportunity to learn my CRM, to learn my system, to learn my different, you know, insurance companies. It worked out perfectly. You know, when Tim was working with us, it gave us time to do our sales. You know, they would just, our leads would come in slowly, so you didn't feel overwhelmed at all.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I love that. And so the other thing that I'll mention in comparing the Alpha Lead program to like buying leads from a third-party vendor, there's some other things that it solves as well. So one of the challenges of buying from a third-party vendor, and it even applies to face-to-face agents, is you're kind of turning your lead flow on and off all the time. And so depending on where you're buying your leads from, the minute that you purchase your leads, there's a delay or a time period it takes for them to generate the ad for you, for them to turn it on. And then once they turn it on, if you know anything about Facebook advertising, it could take 24 to 72 hours for Facebook to approve the ad. So then it takes that much more time for it to actually get started. And then after it gets started, then your leads are coming in, then it stops. And then next week, you got to go through the process all over again. With the Alpha Lead program, we turn it on and it stays on constantly, which it's going to over time drive your lead costs down, because it's constantly working, it's constantly learning, and that's how it works. So instead of just getting leads Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then working those leads for the entire week, rest of the week, instead what we do now, you're generating leads every day. And depending upon your lead spend and how long you've been in the program, that can be, I don't know what, you tell me 10 or 20 leads a day. And one of the most important things that I'm sure Wendy's going to want to cover that Tim drills into the agents is the concept of speed to lead, right? How fast does the lead come in and when you're contacting them? Can you talk to us about that, Wendy?
Absolutely. We try to get them within 5 minutes. Like that's one of my I have a paper here where I mark down how many calls did I get within 5 minutes. And you know, if I'm on a call with another client, of course, I'm not going to rush that. I'm going to take my time, and, you know, sometimes you can't get to them. But the speed to lead has worked. At first, I was a little bit skeptical because it wasn't working for me. And Tim's like, just trust me, I've been doing this. I'm like, okay, I just get out of the way and just learn. So, and it's been working. I just sold one yesterday that way, pick it up. And she's like, oh my God, this is great service. And I'm like, well, of course. So
yeah, I love that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, and because one of the questions that's going to likely generate for folks that are watching this, they're going to say, well, what happens when I'm not working? And it's like, I only work 9 to 5. And then if the lead comes on the evening of the weekend, I'm not calling them in 5 minutes. Yes, but
I
it's
love it.
still better than the alternative. The alternative, you're generating leads, like I said, Thursday through Sunday or whatever it may be before Monday, and you don't have but like a little tiny opportunity to try to call them when the lead comes in. These leads, again, are coming in 24/7. And so you have the ability with this program to call them immediately versus a program that you're starting and stopping all the time, right? You've got leads that you generated
And
3 or 4 or 5 days ago.
yeah, and with our CRM, I'm able to still interact with these client or prospects that are calling, and I will say, you know, just give me 5 minutes to get your number. Even if I was talking with somebody at 10 o'clock the other night, not because I had to, just because it just happened to be like I was there, and I'm like, okay, and I know her, you know, so I was chatting with her. You can respond back to the people, like if they say, you know, oh, today's not going to be a good day anyways. It's through text messages that we're interacting. You know, like they'll say, I want to talk to an agent about life insurance. Well, absolutely. You know, my system is automated, so it'll actually give them the opportunity to set up an appointment, which is fabulous. So they're not really being left alone. They feel like I'm texting them, and a lot of times I am. Now, mind you, I can't get everyone, but I know when they're calling in and I'm on the phone, my system's generating, you know, I got your information. I know you called, so that they're being talked to right away, essentially.
Let me ask you, Wendy, as far as that CRM and what I would call automations, is that something that you had to personally go in there and set up and figure out all that stuff out yourself, or is that included with the Alpha Lead program?
That's included with the Alpha Lead program.
That's what I thought. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm really jealous.
It's yeah, yeah. And Oscar, the guy that does the Alpha Leads for us, he has been phenomenal. He will come in and help me set it up, make sure it's right, if something changed or if I had a question, or how to use it, or you know, and he just reassured me. He goes, just start using it, you're going to learn it over time. And it was so true, because as you get more comfortable, like with any job, it just takes time. And you know, like, oh, I think I need this, I think I need this, and I'll be darned if the system doesn't already have it. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. You just push that arrow down and I can pick my states, the ones I want to call to each number. And yeah, it's been phenomenal.
Got it. And so another advantage that I have kind of heard about this program is the fact what the closing ratio is. So one of the things that Wendy admitted or had alluded to earlier was, of the number of leads that are coming in, what is kind of your goal as far as how many of those leads to close? Now, when you're buying leads from a third-party vendor, you don't know exactly what the ad piece says, right? They're not going to give you the secret sauce, because otherwise you would just take that information and start running your own leads. So they're not going to share that information with you. Understandable. It's proprietary information. However, that being said, that leads an agent to wonder, well, what in the heck is my ad saying? What are these people being told prior to coming in here? And oftentimes you can even get somebody that gets confused or remembers an old ad that they filled out, and they confuse that with your ad. But essentially, when you buy those third-party vendor ads, and the ones that we work with, we recommend those folks, but just know that out there in the world of lead generation, there's some ads that could be more vague and more difficult to close, frankly, because the ad could say something very vague, where it's like the new state regulated final expense program, see if you qualify. And for some people, they automatically assume maybe that's a free program, a government program, right? Whereas a more targeted or a higher intent lead would be somebody that saw an ad like affordable life insurance, right? You can imagine that message, it's already telling them there's a cost involved, and it's life insurance, right? And so you can imagine the leads that come through there, while maybe they would even be more expensive in that situation, they have a higher intent and a more likelihood to close. So Wendy, my question for you is, did you ever work any of these third-party leads? And if you did you see a difference, or what has been your experience about the people you get on the phone? Are they kind of aware that there's a premium? Do they know that it's life insurance? Or tell us about that.
Oh my goodness, yes, I have had some experience. The telesale leads, you know, the third-party vendor leads, like it was exactly how you explained. I would get prospects on the line that, you know, thought it was free, didn't want to pay. I just felt like it was the people that were being presented to were like having a difficult situation in life, you know, and really just were looking for government help. Okay. There was a few that didn't, that, you know, caught on and, you know, understood that this is a, you know, that I'm a broker and I shop all the major companies for you. Now, I can just tell you that the leads from Alpha Leads have been hands down 100% different. Since I've worked the Alpha Leads, I've had one person, literally one, and that's huge, say, well, I thought this was free. And, I was able to overcome that. And, no, it's
Did you
not
sell
free,
her?
but huh?
Did you sell her?
I did.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, good for
Absolutely.
you.
Yes, yes.
So even
Yeah,
the lead that
because
thought it was free, you were still able to get them on.
overcome. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
good.
it's not free. If it was free, I'd be telling everybody in their, in the whole world,
Exactly.
and, the government
Nothing
can't afford
worthwhile in
that.
life is free. We all
Right.
know that.
Yeah. Yeah. We all know that. So let's be real. No, but these leads, the people that I get, through, and I have to say, it's got to be the marketing. It's got to be Oscar, what he's doing, how he's wording it. My people all come in and know exactly what they're looking for. They not exactly what they're looking for. That's my job to kind of educate them on that, but they know they're coming in, they're looking for final expense.
Mhm.
Yes, some
Excellent.
life insurance. And the quality of the prospects, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Perfect. Is there anything else, Wendy, about the Alpha Lead program specifically that maybe we haven't covered yet that you want people to know?
Gosh, there's so much. It's so wonderful. The continuation of the leads that come in, it's wonderful. The newer leads, they just keep coming, and they come in such a timely base. I do the $1,000 a week. And, when you're selling, it's almost like it's a wash. So I don't really look at it as like, oh my God, I just spent $1,000 a week. That just comes. It's coming. It's working out wonderful. So, yeah, my bank account is going whoo, instead of
Go in the right direction.
yeah.
Man, that's
Yeah.
always a good feeling, isn't
So,
it?
and even too, Oscar, the marketing guy, he is phenomenal. I mean, he takes time out and does meetings for us specifically. He'll get on the phone, and if we're not, he can see like all of our calls and what we're doing. And he was, straight up, you guys, if you want this to work, you got to work it. I mean, and he'll come on and tell us. And I love it. I mean, I
Okay.
love that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't sure how involved he was in as a program as he's just setting it up.
Oh, he takes us to
letting you know.
heart. Are you kidding me?
Okay, got it.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is really,
Okay.
I can call, like, I mean, even yesterday I just sent a text out. I'm like, listen, one of my text messages responding to people after I already sold them, asking them for their zip code. And he's
Mhm.
like, oh, let me send you a Zoom. Let's fix that right now. I mean, technology stuff is going to happen. He has been there. 100%.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, one thing that we may have missed to cover. So we did cover the 30-day period, and by again, I want to reiterate, it doesn't take 30 days for your first lead to come in. You're not spending 4 weeks of lead spin before you get a lead. You do start getting leads the first week, but they're going to be a higher cost, right? As Facebook learns and develops and kind of understands your market, that kind of thing. And so they are coming in from day one, but again, they're getting cheaper over time. So it takes about 30 days or so for you to really hit that target lead cost of around $5 to $15, I guess, would be the goal there, right around $10 or so, I think is the goal. Is that right, Wendy?
Yeah, in the beginning. And another thing too that I want to mention is I have 25 states, and so that's another recommendation. The more states you have, that's going to help get your lead costs down as well.
100%. That was the last thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I didn't start out spending $1,000 a week. It was all gradual, like, and that was, again, with my mentor, making sure that it was okay. Like, I feel like you're ready. Yep, I'm ready. Let's do it. So it wasn't just throw me into the pot and, start swimming. I got to, float and grab on and, get my footing. And then I'm able to go from there. I feel like everything's, between Tim and Oscar, you can't lose. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just been that
as long as you're willing to put in the work, right? We've already covered that.
Yes, you got to do the work. I mean, I know I can stand here and make it sound all easy, but I do work. And I'll have to say, I just wanted to touch back a little bit now. My husband has watched me go through 2 other companies.
Oh,
and
really? Okay.
I've talked to him, and I showed him videos of Dave all the time. And I'm like, this guy.
Yeah.
And I like him. Like, my husband knows I'm very real, very, honest. And that's what I've gotten from Dave. And that's what has proved to be true here. the point I'm trying to make is, sorry, I went on a little different direction here, is, you know, we've kind of talked earlier doing the different companies and that struggle, and am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? When you're with the right company and have these tools in front of you, you absolutely can.
Got it.
I
Put all
mean,
the
you
odds
just
in your
can't.
favor, right?
Yep, yep. You just
Okay.
got to be willing to do the work. I
Yeah.
mean, it's there. In the beginning, it's a little bit challenging because there's so much going on. And then once you get it, you get used to it. You know, again, it's that learning curve, and then it just all flows, and they're just normal problems.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, just
Yeah,
like
so
every day.
that was one of the things that you brought up that I wanted to jump into, because I forgot to mention this earlier, is that in order to qualify for the Alpha Lead program, you're going to need a minimum of 25 state licenses, right? And the reason for that, as you can imagine, when you're running Facebook ads, the bigger the net that you're casting, the more fish you're going to catch, but also the cheaper cost per catch, right? Or cheaper cost per lead. So for a face-to-face agent, when you're targeting a very tiny little specific 50-mile radius, it's very expensive. It's because you have a smaller audience that you're trying to reach. So the more states and the more population that you're able to target, the more consistently you can get your ads. And one of the things that I mentioned on this Q&A call this morning was, as a face-to-face agent, I have to do one of two things, if not both, when I'm doing Facebook ads. Either A, I'm changing vendors every week because I have to change up what the lead piece says so that I'm not wearing out the same people with the same ad. Or B, I have to move the pin where the center point of my ad is being shown, because again, I can't wear out these people over and over. The advantage to being a telesales person is you have a wider net. You're going for the whole entire state, but not only the state. In this case, we recommend a minimum of 25 states, and that there's a couple of advantages there. Number one, you're never going to wear out the people, the target audience that you're targeting, because there's so many people for it to be shown to. And number two, is going to drive your costs per lead down because you have a wider number of people that are getting shown to. Now, what are the 25 states? I'm sure people are wondering. I don't know specifically, but here's how I think it works. Essentially, just take every state in the US and line them up from most populated to least populated. And those top 25, those are the ones you want to add, right? You have a minimum starting with them, with the exception of New York. And then I think even is recommended to go up to 30 if you can afford it. So just know the caveat of getting into this lead program is having 25 states. Some of those state licenses are $15. Some of them are $200. Like, they're all over the place. So just know that there's going to be some cost there, and know that there's a $500 monthly cost to being in the program. And then the only other cost involved in it are the actual lead spend that you're putting into the Facebook machine every week, right? And so Wendy said that she's at $1,000 right now. She started lower than that, but that's essentially how the program works. Did we cover everything about the Alpha Lead that you can think of?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, you know, like you said, it takes you a month to get going, and it truly does, but they start right away. And it just gives you time to just get acclimated, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh boy, and you just jump on and go. But you know, there's somebody there to help you always.
One question that I personally had, because I'm kind of curious about this, I've talked to another agent named Ryan Valet. He's another agent in our agency at the Ford Insurance Group, who started telesales prior to our mentorship. So he was in the Wild West, and he kind of DIY'd his own Facebook self-generation stuff prior to this program being administered. But one of the things that he told me, the things that he loves about what he's doing, is that people are self-scheduling their calls. Now, obviously, you're not going to have 100% show rate. I don't have 100% show rate as a face-to-face agent. It's going to be even lower for telesales people. But that was the last question I wanted to ask you, Wendy. Are these people self-scheduling? How often, what percentage would you say that are doing that? And the people that self-schedule, how often do they show up?
They do self-schedule. I just was actually on the phone with one this morning that picked up. I would say about 30% of the time they're coming on. Because, you know, we've been interacting through text message. You know, the automations are personalized almost, you know, to what we're doing in telesales and for final expense. So, you know, they'll say, oh, yes or no. And it automatically will say, well, you know, would it be easier if you can schedule an appointment? Yeah, they do. And it's wonderful. And then I'll get people that'll say, sorry, I can't make my appointment. Okay, good. Let's reschedule. Okay. And then I'll be able to pick them up that way. But there's still so much communication that can happen in between. And I'm just really flexible with it. Okay. You know, and I have my calendar. I look, you know, and just go, who's up? And Yeah.
I'm
I
curious, have you kept track at all as far as the folks that you've been closing on the Alpha Lead program? Like, do you have any ideas, like how many of those are the people that are self-booking versus the people that you are outbound calling? Do you know?
well, I know the ones that I outbound call, I'm sure I sell more that way. I don't
Okay.
have an actual, I can't give you an actual number.
Okay. And the reason why I
haven't
asked that
tracked
question, Wendy, is because everybody wants the easy way out, right? So for face-to-face, they just want to do preset appointments when really it's very difficult. That there's very few and far in between, if not anybody, that is successful as a face-to-face agent that's not willing to go out and door knock your leads, right? You can't just rely specifically on preset appointments, right? Door
No,
knocking
I
is a reality.
wouldn't live like
So
that.
would you say the same for telesales? Like you can't rely on just those pre-booked appointments, that you have to be prepared to do some outbound calling, even with the lead Alpha Lead program, correct?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Absolutely, for sure. For
Got it.
sure. Yep.
Perfect. Well, once again, Wendy, I love this interview. I feel like you did a fantastic job highlighting your experience as well as the Alpha Lead program. So
Yeah,
we
thank
really
you.
appreciate your time.
I appreciate
one
you
of the things
guys.
that I told her prior to getting on here, like after having seen the production and the work that she's putting, the numbers she's putting up, I almost feel guilty taking up her time when I know she's selling. So
Yeah,
I personally want to say thank you for taking it. I'm sure everybody here that has watched this video really appreciated your time and information that you've shared today. Is there anything else you want to add before we cut out of here?
No, I think we did good. I just know I have a phone call to make at noon, so I got about 5 minutes to get out.
Okay, good. I'll let you get out of here. Last thing I'll cover, if you guys are interested in working with the DeFord Insurance Group and getting access to this new Alpha Lead program, make sure you go over to daviddeford.com. Go ahead and schedule a group Q&A. One of the things that we've kind of alluded to several times here, we're going to meet in a group. We're going to go over the information, cover questions for you may have about the agency. And then from that point, you'll have the option of either moving forward and hitting the apply button, or you can jump in and apply right now if you're ready to rock, or jump into the live Q&A. And then after you've done a Q&A, if you still have questions, you'll have an opportunity to speak to myself or Joe Bushalaki on a one-on-one basis if there's kind of some nuances or you want some more personal guidance on making a decision moving forward. But either way, we'd love to see you. We'd love to have you guys. Thank you for joining us. And once again, thank you again, Wendy.
Yeah, thank you, Tom.